Welcome back to Houseless Reactions, where we're always here to have a good time. Yeah! Today, we're going to be checking out 2 scary Uber stories animated.
It's been about 6 months since I started driving for Uber. Until then, I had a high-pressure career in law. Therefore, the money's not quite what I'm used to. That is not why I do it, though. The flexibility is the real reason that I made the change.
I hear that. I used to do Uber because of flexible hours. It's nice to be able to drive whenever you want.
12-hour days, work calls in the middle of the night. It was rough.
Yeah, I don't miss driving for Uber 12 hours a day. No way, no way.
I would get the occasional unruly passenger, but most nights were fairly uneventful.
That is true. You only get one crazy person for every 99 good people.
And I was getting ready to call it a night when I received a ride request. It was about 20 minutes away, but it was in the direction of my apartment, so I reluctantly accepted.
20 minutes away, I don't know if I would have took that ride.
I made my way past the empty streets, which were full of late-night partygoers not more than an hour before. The full moon lit the barren city enough that the bright streetlights were hardly needed. As I approached the pickup destination,
He looks like a regular guy. I don't see the problem yet, but the normal-looking people are sometimes the craziest.
A look of frustration was plastered on his face, like he was struggling to enter his password correctly.
It's not his phone!
The bright red case. I noticed because I was thinking of upgrading to the same. He swayed like a tree in a windstorm, showing all the signs of someone who has had too much to drink. He must have had a good night, I said to myself.
That guy looks all frustrated, right?
As I stopped my car in front of him. You must be Jake, I said.
That's what the ladies call me.
He laughed loudly.
Why is his voice so deep? This guy talks like Barry White.
He jumped into the back seat and we took off. Although I couldn't smell any alcohol on him, he continued to show signs of drunkenness. I'm not a drinker, but I don't judge, especially because it is better that they ride with me rather than getting behind the wheel themselves.
I like when he was standing up, he wasn't waving at all, but now that he's in the car, he's super drunk.
We just need to pick something up from my brother's house,
he said. His speech was surprisingly clear for someone who I assumed had been drinking.
I think he's faking being drunk, because he was perfectly fine before he got picked up, wasn't he?
I didn't think much of it. It had been a long night, and I didn't completely trust my own judgment.
Yeah, you don't want to drive too tired, man. That's bad for your safety and bad for your judgment.
It was actually an apartment building in a rough neighborhood. Do you need help? I asked.
No, just pop the trunk.
Pop the trunk, I got a body.
Creeped out. I watched through the rearview mirror as Jake and another man loaded a large black duffel bag into my trunk.
Money's good, drugs are good, just no dead bodies.
From his movements and the muffled conversation that Jake was not drunk at all. But why pretend?
That's what I'm saying. He was perfectly fine when he was waiting for the Uber, but as soon as he was in the Uber, he was all sorts of drunk. Mr. Fake.
And the other man disappeared. As we continued our ride, Jake went quiet. His bloodshot eyes stared at me through the mirror.
Why does he look so angry out of nowhere?
Perhaps he could sense my fear and thought I was onto him for whatever nefarious deeds he was up to.
Don't let him see you afraid, man. That's when they're gonna take advantage of you.
I was eager to get this ride over with, but I didn't want to cancel it and risk upsetting him.
I would have canceled it and booted him out of the car. I don't care. My safety is #1 priority.
Tremendous weight lifted from my shoulders when I pulled up to his final destination. Well, this is it, I said with a forced pleasantness. He was staring at his phone again, like he was struggling to unlock it.
It's not his phone!
Having so much trouble with his phone, I wondered.
Guaranteed, that ain't his phone. That's why he's struggling.
To my relief, Jake got out of my car.
That wasn't Jake.
And headed to the trunk, which I had popped open for him. He slammed it shut and disappeared into the night without saying a word. What a relief.
Get out of there, man, and check your trunk.
Didn't have anything to do with...
Check your trunk!
I was still curious about what was in the duffel bag, but I figured I would never find out. I pulled into my driveway.
You about to find out right now.
And sighed with relief. I always look through my car at the end of the night to check if my passengers left anything behind. There usually isn't much to find. People are pretty careful with their things for the most part.
I don't know, I found some crazy stuff in my car after I did some Ubering.
I noticed a bright red iPhone 10. There was no doubt that it was Jake's.
The one he couldn't open.
I would try to return it to its owner, but I was so creeped out by Jake that I was ready to throw it in the trash.
Can't you just turn it into Uber? That's what I did that one time.
Background image, but it wasn't Jake.
Told you it wasn't Jake.
A young man in his 20s with short red hair and freckles. This wasn't Jake's phone at all. That's why he was struggling to use it.
See, I knew it.
My stomach dropped when I realized something else. I didn't actually see Jake remove the bag from my trunk.
Go check your trunk, man, but be very, very careful.
I opened the trunk, and to my horror, the large duffel bag was still there.
He planted the evidence on you, man.
The zipper on the bag. I pulled it down, and what I saw will haunt my dreams forever. There was a dead body in the bag.
Oh, man, come on, that's the thing that we didn't want.
He was the young man with short hair and freckles. The phone belonged to
That poor kid, man.
Uber's records will show that I was the last one to see this man alive, and there's no doubt that Jake was smart enough to wipe his fingerprints off before he left. I can't go to the police now, so I only have one choice. Now I just need to find a shovel.
Oh, no, you go to the police, man. Why can't you go to the police? I don't understand that. It don't make no sense you can't go to the police, bro.
I was a 22-year-old student, and I was delivering for Uber Eats.
Oh, we got an Uber Eats. I thought these were only Uber ride stories.
My parents had very traditional values, and they brought me up to value hard work.
Just don't go in the house, man. That's where all the crazy stuff happens.
Since I was in school, my shifts were almost always in the evenings. That's when most of the orders come in anyway.
I did Uber Eats too. Honestly, I like doing Uber Eats a lot more than Uber rides. You ain't got to deal with people.
But as I got closer, it began to feel more like the middle of nowhere. Old cornfields and abandoned farmhouses sparsely populated the roadside.
That wouldn't make me feel comfortable, man. Maybe he lives in the country and he's used to that, but I ain't trying to go to no cornfield and deliver no food. Forget that. I'm a city boy.
As I neared my destination, I was relieved to see a bright light coming from the front window on the bottom floor of the house. Like other houses in the area, it was an old farmhouse. The nearest neighbor was at least a mile in either direction. Not that it would matter, because I'm almost certain that every other house was uninhabited. I pulled up to the front of the house and noticed the shadows of many people behind the drapes of the front.
That'd be creepy to me. That's natural for shadows to be at the drapes, but too many people, scary being by yourself, right?
There were no cars other than mine. This area was definitely not on any public transit route.
That's what I'm saying. I'd be worried about Texas Chainsaw Massacre type stuff. House in the middle of nowhere. Wouldn't you guys? Comment below.
After less than a minute, the door opened and I was greeted by an older woman in an extravagant red gown. She was done up with makeup and red lipstick. I could hear music coming from the other room.
Isn't all Uber Eats prepaid? Give her the food and get out of there, man.
So happy that the food is here.
She said with the warm tone of a grandmother. No problem, have a good night, I replied with a typical canned pleasantry. I was about to turn around and head back to my car.
Don't go in!
Oh dear, you're leaving without your tip?
She said. Whatever you left on the app should be fine.
Yeah, if you're creeped out, man, it ain't worth no money.
Noticed that she had already left a generous tip.
I'm a traditional lady and I prefer to give it to you in person.
You already gave me $20 on the app. What do you mean in person?
However, I was comforted by the fact that the house seemed to be full of other people.
That would not make me comfortable. More people, less of advantage for you, buddy.
Okay, thank you. That is very generous, I replied graciously.
Excellent. Come in and make yourself comfortable. I need to find my purse. This dress doesn't have any pockets.
I stepped inside.
That is a bad idea, dude. Don't go in the house. Don't go in the house, man!
In the next room, and there was a closed door between us.
This guy's gonna get butchered up now.
Around, and it sounded like she was in the basement. That seemed like a strange place for her to keep her purse.
She went to the basement to get the money? I would be out of there! Get out of there, man! What is wrong with you?
I could hear music, but no talking. I wondered what was going on in there. Just then, the woman shouted,
Young man, can you come down here?
Look how creepy she looks now!
I need your help with something.
Her warm tone changed to a creepy cackle.
Why are you still in that house? Get out the house!
I should have just left, but my curiosity wouldn't allow it. I inched closer to the door dividing the foyer from the party. I cracked the door open and peeked inside. There were 7 to 10 mannequins arranged throughout the room.
Wow, so she faked people being there. You better get out of there, dude. Why are you still in the house?
The old woman stood at the end of the hall with the creepiest smile I have ever seen.
Would you care to join us?
Why is an old granny scarier than a young person? That's crazy. This is scary.
I don't know if she chased me. I didn't have time to check.
You made the smart move, man. Run out of there. You ain't gotta deal with that.
After graduation, I landed an internship at a large tech company. There's no way of knowing what her plans were for me.
Whatever the plans were, they weren't good. You made the right call, man. That's not worth any tip. Get out of there. Safety first, man. That was 2 scary Uber horror stories animated. I really enjoyed those videos, to tell you the truth. The first one, I was a little weary. Like, that dude, man, you could tell that he was faking being drunk. That guy should have knew something was up. And I kind of knew the duffel bag would have been left in the trunk. But originally when it happened, I thought it was drugs or something. On the second one, yeah, man, you never enter the house in a delivery, people. I've been a delivery driver. That's my #1 rule. Don't go in the house. It's not worth your safety. If you enjoyed this video today, smash that like button for me. That greatly helps out the YouTube algorithm. If you'd like to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button so you will be up to date with all my great videos. I want to thank you guys for joining me today on Houseless Reactions, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, guys. Bye!